Hey guys, it's Razorvine. I'm the Gamer Media Geek. I know it's been a really, really long time since I've done a video. Um, I will say that life has been sucky for me. Life has been kind of hectic and crazy, and I live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, really. So as much as I would love to just make this my job, I totally would. It would be my favorite thing in the world. I really can't do that. But I wanted to talk really quick about something that's happened in the geek world recently. Something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and that is the whole Iceman is gay thing. For those of you who are unaware, in the core comic books in the X-Men universe, there's currently a storyline about Iceman coming out as gay. It started a few months ago. There's this really bizarre storyline where Henry McCoy supposedly brought older versions of the not older, like younger versions of the X-Men forward in time, and they ended up sticking around instead of just normally that kind of storyline means that those younger people get shuttled back to their time frame and like forgetting and all that crap. But what ended up happening here is that these characters stuck around for a while, and they've been interacting with the future, and I'm not sure how or when or if that storyline is going to end. But one of the takeaways from that storyline is that the young Iceman, the young Bobby Drake, he ended up coming out as gay, and that story in of itself is kind of really I'm not 100% sure I'm happy with the way that happened, partly because basically Jean Grey basically says, I read your mind, you're gay. That kind of, it's such a, I feel like it's kind of a cheat, and it's also kind of dismissive of how hard it is to come out in the first place. So, I'm not 100% okay with it. But it did lead to a more interesting story. And that is that young Bobby Drake is confused because older Bobby Drake, core universe Bobby Drake, the one that's been around forever, isn't out. He isn't gay. And so he went to like in the most recent comic, he went to confront that character about it, and he's told the older Bobby Drake. So like in the comic, he told the older Bobby Drake, "I'm gay. I'm going. I'm living in this modern time, and everybody's okay with that. I'm going to continue to be gay. I'm going to not act gay. I'm going to live my life as a gay person. I'm pretty sure you're gay too." He said that basically says, "I'm pretty sure you're gay too. Why aren't you out? Especially now because the world is so accepting." And we find out that the core universe Bobby Drake, the one who's been living his life, through the 80s, the 90s, etc., wasn't out because he didn't want to have to deal with the prejudice of both being a mutant and being gay at the same time. And after so long of being in the closet, he just decided not to come out, basically. And it wasn't until young Bobby Drake, basically, kind of forced this on him that he admits that he admitted that he was. I think that's an interesting reversal of an older person and the older you telling the younger you something that a truth, right? The older you telling you a truth about the future. This is the younger you telling a truth about yourself, and I'm particularly happy that it's that we find out that there's definite truth to the younger Bobby Drake being gay, because one of the things that happened like right after that reveal came, the younger Bobby Drake, the was that thinking, oh, he must be like some sort of alternate universe timeline or something like that. That explains everything, right? But here they confirmed that at the very least, these characters are similar enough that there's truth to what the young Bobby Drake feels, and I'm glad because that means that core Bobby Drake is now gay, or at least admits that he's gay, and that's good to me. It's nice to have that finally confirmed, and you like finally. It's like, well, yes, because Bobby Drake, the Iceman, one of the core founders of the X-Men, by the way, one of the core members of the X-Men, not only is he a big character, but it's been rumored for years, way before this whole thing, that Bobby Drake was a gay character that was just in the closet. And you may say, well, but that was all fan speculation. Yes, but that fan speculation had pretty good logic behind it, right? They talked about his relationships with women, the way he acted, the way it all pointed to somebody who had been in the closet for years. And now you could argue, well, but there are people like that who aren't, and you're right. But I'm not saying that every single character that's like that is gay. What I'm saying is that stuff being there still can point to a character who's in the closet, and that there's nothing wrong with reaching that conclusion. I find so like this was going to happen earlier. This was supposed to happen earlier, as far as I understand. In 2003, North Star, their Marvel's premier gay character, the one that's been out forever, and while he's not like a major character, he's not like, how would I put it? He's not a core Marvel character. He's not founding member of the X-Men big. But he is like Marvel's he's Marvel's gay character. He's Marvel's icon when it comes to that kind of thing, because he was he's the comic book industry's honestly icon when it comes to gay characters, because he's like the mainstream comic character who's gay. That, I mean, if you ask somebody, North Star is probably going to be, if you ask somebody to name a gay comic character, North Star is probably going to be one of the first names mentioned, if not, at least in the top 5, Midnight or Apollo maybe, that kind of thing. But North Star is probably very likely to hit that in that top 5 for sure. Anyways, North Star was in 2003. North Star was tapped by the X-Men to be part of their team, and so he was teaching at Xavier's Academy or whatever they were calling it at that time, and part of the storyline there ended up being that North Star developed feelings for Bobby, for Iceman, and we were just kind of getting into that storyline. He admitted it openly on panel that he liked Bobby, and there was a little bit of tension between them because North Star saved Bobby from some sort of problem or something. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. I mean, 2003. That's a long time ago. But anyways, point being, it was just like basically starting to get off the ground as a storyline when the team running the comic was completely changed. And that happens a lot in comic books, where storylines, and I'm not just talking about gay storylines or romantic storylines or anything like that. Comics are this weird medium where an entire creative team gets shipped off and to do something else, and you have a new person come in and they have a completely different vision of what these characters should be doing. And with team comics especially, you've got people who, especially with teams as big as the X-Men, who have characters who have like hundreds of characters to choose from. So you've got this new team comes in and that basically wants to completely change the roster around because they want to use different characters, right? So they come in. Sorry, I'm digressing. This team comes in and they get rid of Northstar. They kill Northstar off in some sort of event. I'm not sure exactly what happens, but he dies. You know how well that works in comic books. He dies, and he never actually had a direct confrontation with Bobby about his romantic feelings with Bobby. There never was that thing. There was never that direct confrontation. It never happened because the character literally died before it could happen. And like a few months, weeks, a little while later, Northstar was resurrected because he's just too big. He's not X-Men big, but he's definitely too big of a character to kill off permanently. Partly because he is Marvel's premier gay character, and at that time, it was still a pretty bad idea to kill off somebody like that permanently. So they brought him back. But like he didn't rejoin the main core X-Men team at that time. And then later we find out, like I think it was a few years later, we find out that we catch up with him, and we find out that he has a boyfriend, and then a few years after that, he gets married to that boyfriend. And the boyfriend character, I don't really care for him, mostly because it was pretty clear that the character was designed specifically to give Northstar a boyfriend, to give him a character to fall in love with. Specifically, the character was defining trait is that he's Northstar's boyfriend / husband. That the whole point of the character was so that Northstar wasn't being interested in actual main characters. Like, I mean, that's literally the reason the character exists. And I know there'll probably be comic book writers who would be like, no, we were just trying to show that Northstar isn't sexless, right? Because up until the point where he started making goo eyes at Bobby, he was pretty sexless, and a lot of it was a very common thing for gay comic book characters to not have romances at all, to not even be mentioning that, right? And so I feel like part of what happened with the whole Northstar thing, why it took such a sudden turn after the writing team changed, and I mean not just because the writing team changed, which in and of itself is pretty much a good reason for that kind of thing to happen, but not only that, but because that happened, they were like, holy crap, we don't want to have to deal with this storyline. Let's kill him off. Oh shit, we can't keep him dead forever. Let's resurrect him, but let's give him a boyfriend. As soon as we can. As soon as it's perfectly feasible. And so that we don't have to deal with the consequences of the Bobby Drake Northstar storyline. We don't have to deal with it because if he has a boyfriend, then nobody wants to deal with the fact that he ever liked Bobby in the first place, right? I wonder if they'll ever go back to that now. It's really it would be really weird because North Star is married and they made such a big deal. They did a whole like comic devoted to that thing where North Star got married to this completely, I'm the boyfriend character. You know, they did a whole comic devoted to that. It was like a full spread cover and everything. So I'm pretty sure that we're probably not going to see the awkwardness of Bobby and North Star. It's really sad. I think honestly that we're not going to see a story like that where we have two kind of main characters actually being in a romance, or unless they kill off North Star's husband or have them divorce or whatever. And I'm not, I don't know enough about that character to know whether or not that would be disrespectful or not. I feel, again, what little I know of the character, to me, pretty much says that this character was designed to be his boyfriend, and that was like the only thing that he was. And it's really, really disappointing that that's the way they went. But it was, I understand where they were coming from. I understand the, oh shit, we don't want to have to deal with this question right now. And the longer we put it off, maybe, one day. And that's what happened here. That's what happened with the Bobby thing, is that, well, now we're ready to deal with Iceman's sexuality. 30 to 40 years too late, but we're ready to deal with his sexuality now. But we put North Star in a relationship now, so that particular line of romance is kind of shut off. And here's the other thing here. So here's the other scary thing. This coming out is literally at the end of a writer's story arc. He no longer is writing for X-Men after this particular comic. So, technically, we could find that the Bobby Drake arc is going to be swept under the rug. The Bobby is gay thing is going to be swept under the rug. I hope and pray that Marvel doesn't do that. This is like really important to me because I've been wanting Bobby to come out for years now. And I know that sounds weird, I'm invested in this character being gay. I've been thinking that he was gay for years. He's always kind of felt that way, And you may argue that there's no way for a character to feel gay, but I don't know. That's my thoughts.